What's going on, y'all? Okay. We are back for another movie corner. As I said, we are here for Halloween, all right? Halloween 2018. Halloween kills and Halloween ends. We just gonna throw that in there for a quick second. Because out of this trilogy, you know, for those that don't know the story of Halloween and the myth and lore of Michael Myers, it is a good thing to go down a rabbit hole with. Okay, I follow. Oh my goodness, what is his channel? Um, because I'm gonna give y'all. I also make sure y'all look into like the Dead Meats podcast. Um, where it say subscriptions? Okay, well that's not it. Let me find it. I always get on here in CZ World, CZS World. Okay, I love that channel, and it's literally CZS World, one word. And he does a lot of deep dives, a lot of videos about different villains and horror movie franchises or whatever, give their backstories and all of that. So I really, really do enjoy his channel. If you want to know some more lore about Michael Myers and you want to find it on YouTube or whatever, you can look on there. But yeah, I really like it, right? Halloween is one of my favorite franchises that I will go back and watch over and over again. As I said before, I love Halloween. Friday the 13th. The Nightmare on Elm Street series. I didn't look at just about, I didn't look at every reiteration of it, right? Of all of those movies. And nothing beats the original. Okay, we just gonna be real. Nothing beats the original, you know. But a brief little history because it's just like a little bit too much to go into the originals. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so many different movies to the originals and they go into the timeline. And then it comes to a point, even though, I watched them all and I still enjoy them to a certain extent, it gets a little crazy and a little wonky and a little like, girl, what? Y'all was just pulling at straws and y'all was just really trying to milk this for all that you could, right? And so that's what was going on with literally all three of those franchises that I just mentioned, okay? And at one point, a more modern day franchise that was kind of going on that line was, I was scared finna go down that line, was Scream, okay? But so far so good with Scream. Scream 7 about to, they announced that it is coming. I am kind of I'm not really looking forward to it in a sense, like I'm hype about it because of the backlash that happened with Melissa being let go because of her views against what's going on in the politics. And then Jenna Ortega is not coming back because she already said she wasn't coming back, right? So I just want to see where they are going to go with Scream 7. But we are here for Halloween, and Halloween got a little supernatural. That one where they was doing the mask, look at the TV show or the commercial and it activates the mask and it blows the kids' heads up or some shit like that. Girl, that was a mess. That was a fool. The one where it was supposed to be his niece, okay, and she can teleconnect with him and all that stuff, and she's going, I was like, what is this? It went from being a real person to very much supernatural. Okay, Michael can get inside you and all this stuff, and he trying to kill off the last of his bloodline and all of that. Girl, what? It used to irk me. So I said, when I got towards the end, I was like, what are we doing? And then we get the Rob Zombie one. Rob Zombie's, his two iterations, I saw both of them. Not particular movies that I will go back and watch over and over again. I probably, out of all of the franchise, well, the reiterations and, the originals, I probably revisited twice. Okay. It went in a little bit deeper about Michael as a person. That what I really did enjoy about Rob Zombie's version of Halloween, the first one, and went in a little bit deeper about him as a person, as a child, and possibly how he got that way and all that stuff. But other than that, it was very much a Rob Zombie film. And if you ain't ever seen a Rob Zombie film, you're in for it, okay? You're in for a treat. But then when they said that they was going to bring this back with Laurie, or I should say the original cast members, that were still here, and the main cast member, Jamie Lee Curtis, she's so problematic now. But so disappointing. But yeah, so I was very hyped. I was like, okay, cool. Because no shade, listen, I can understand when a movie is trash, but it's also good trash. I can find the good in some of these movies that be like, this is so stupid, okay? Now, when they did Halloween H2O, I was here for it. They literally was trying to continue with the storyline that happened from the original, right? Laurie had a son. Her brother was coming after her, okay? And so she was having all these nightmares. She turned into an alcoholic at one point. She was the head mistress of this school in California, I believe it was. And, and she was just trying to stay away and be undercover and all of that stuff. And eventually Michael found her. She wasn't so much like, I'm trying to protect myself. She was living her everyday life in a regular place. She wasn't so paranoid. She just didn't like Halloween the day. Like, she wasn't paranoid throughout the whole year. She just didn't like that day, okay? And so she didn't fortitude herself, or I should say put herself in a fortress or anything like that. She just went about her day. She just had her nightmares. She used alcohol to self-medicate and all of that stuff, and probably some pills too. And then Michael came to that school and basically, took her out. Or tried to, as she thought, okay? And then come to find out that wasn't her. Or that wasn't him. It was the paramedics. Bitch, that plot twist in Halloween H2O was a fool. I said no. And because she didn't know who it was, or she thought it was Michael and realized that it wasn't him, they basically made her a villain and made it seem like she did that on purpose and put her in a little psych ward and had her medicated, but she wasn't taking the medication. So that's how Halloween Resurrection started. She was in a psych ward. She wasn't taking her medication. She was hiding them so that she could still be alert, because she knew Michael was still out there. Eventually, he do find her, right? And he do kill her. And so it's like, oh no, this is what we doing. And then it goes into them trying to go into his house and make a TV show out of it, a reality TV show. Now that idea, it was kind of up with the times, because that's around the time when a lot of, reality TV craze was starting for real. And it was getting popular. But to put people in a house and think that ghostly things or whatever was going to happen, I just didn't see how it was going to happen. And obviously they didn't either, because everything in there was fake until Michael Myers actually started coming back and he started taking everybody out one by one. And then you had the chat room and the social media aspect of it, but it wasn't necessarily social media. It was these two people that was, communicating like on AIM. Back in the day, for those that don't know, before we had the Twitters or whatever, there was AOL Messenger. There was Yahoo, chat rooms and stuff like that. That's what it was given. Want a two-way pager. I said, oh my God, I always wanted one of those. I said, you know what? When I get older, that's what I'm going to get. And by the time I got older, them things was out. Them things was played out, bitch. I say Halloween Resurrection was one of the goofiest ones. Okay? It was real goofy as fuck. If you want me to do Halloween Halloween 20 years later and Halloween Resurrection, put it down in the comments, and I'll eventually get to it, because I do enjoy those movies, even though, but hey. So then we get another iteration that comes in 2018, and basically they flip the storyline. They tweak it a bit, right? Because like I already just said, in 2000 whatever, when Halloween Resurrection goes, Laurie dies in the very beginning of the movie. Michael finally gets her, okay? And so it's like, why do we still have this movie going on if the main person that he's going after is gone? Because that's how they set it up. So that Halloween, he kills his sister, For those that don't know the story, Michael Myers was a 6-year-old boy or whatever. He winds up killing his sister, Judith, okay? She was up in there frolicking with her little boyfriend and all that stuff. Wind up killing him, killing her. Then he get put in a little psych ward or whatever because, he's young and all that stuff. He grows up in there. He escapes. And once he escapes and kills some people, he just start running havoc out here in Haydenfield. Bitch, let me see if Haydenfield really a place in Illinois. Haddonfield. It's a fictional town. I'm about to say, bitch, what? Who the fuck? Okay. And so you got that going on, right? And he coming after Laurie, okay? So it made sense. It made sense for Michael to be coming after Laurie because, bitch, again, I got to get rid of all of my bloodline. Now, what I did my little research, because in this reiteration of Halloween, Michael and Laurie are not related at all. And I was like, what? So why he coming after her of all people? They got to make it make sense. I'm going to make it make sense type of girl. So what I found out, originally, when John Carpenter and them did this Halloween, the first movie, he didn't know that Laurie was his sister, and they didn't really have it that they were related like that, right? And so he was just coming back and he was just taking out people. That's just what it was. It wasn't like necessarily he was just going after somebody, but then when Halloween 2 came out, that's when they wanted to put out there, they made him, the director, John Carpenter, put out there basically that there was a relationship between them because they were relatives and all that stuff, whatever. And so that's how the timeline kept on going. It made sense to the audience that he would continue to try to kill her off because he's trying to kill off his family. That's just what it was. And she was the last remaining, And then that's how we got the one with the niece, because that was supposed to be Laurie's daughter. That was supposed to be Laurie's daughter, right? And he was trying to take her out, okay? I don't even remember what happened to Laurie in that part that, I forget. But because it's been so many and it's been so long since I've seen them all. But at the same time, then you get to Halloween H2O and she doesn't have a daughter. See, this is another reiteration. She doesn't have a daughter this time. She has a son that she still has custody of. You know what I'm saying? So now you get to Halloween 2018, right? And so basically we are met with Laurie, who, let me just get into it. It brings it up to the times, okay? I will say each reiteration of this franchise, they try to make it part of what is actually going on and put elements in it at what is going on in the world, particularly at that time. So 2018, this is the rise of true crime documentaries, and a lot of people are into true crimes, the podcasting and everything like that. So it made a little bit of sense that they would try to put that in the forefront and start it off with the podcasters coming in, trying to do an episode on Michael Myers, trying to get into his membrane and all of that stuff. But I get trying to do an episode about him, but actually trying to visit him and trying to get him to talk and trying to, this man has never spoken to anybody. He has never spoken to anybody in this whole franchise, okay? And it's like, you really thought that you was going to get him to speak and all of that and to tell you what makes him tick when he hasn't even told the doctors that have been in his care or in their care? What? That really bothered me. And that's when I just was like, Ashley, don't take this seriously, okay? Because they started it off wrong with me. But at the same time, it's kind of just like how people are very overly ambitious, thinking that I'm going to be the one that cracks the case. I'm going to be the one who gets this person to talk after all these years, okay? They're going to talk to me, a podcaster. And, it just didn't go the way that they wanted to, and then they was British. No shade to my Brits, but I was just like, y'all doing a bit much. And he was so irritating, the male podcaster. Oh my God. I don't even care to remember what his name was, but it was almost like he was antagonizing the situation. He he gave me, if he could throw Michael out in the woods or into the real world and let him wreak havoc, he would do so, just so that he can get footage and content for his podcast. The male podcaster was literally the same as Dr. Sustain. What was the doctor name? I can't remember. Halloween. Girl, cause he was a fool in himself. Dr. Sartain. Yeah, Dr. Sartain. Dr. Sartain was his doctor. He took over for him took over him in his case when Dr. Loomis died. And we see a clear difference between him and Dr. Loomis. They're both equally obsessed, but they're obsessed for two different reasons. Okay? Dr. Loomis wanted that man gone because he realized that this is evil himself. You know, he don't want to talk, don't want to say anything. He just want to go after his sister. He just want to kill everybody that's in sight to get to the goal that he needs to get to. And we figure out what the goal is, that he wants to get after his sister, right? Okay, cool. But at the same time, let me take him out, all right? If you're going to keep him locked up, keep him locked up. But if you get loose, you're going to have to take him out. And that's not what Dr. Sartain wanted. Dr. Sartain wanted to get into the mind of him and to see what makes a serial killer tick, okay? What makes a person just want to all of a sudden do what he did. He did, you know what I'm saying? And so not only did he do that, but he took that shit a little bit further. Dr. Loomis wanted him gone, okay, at a certain point. And he knew the danger that he presented. Dr. Sartain, he understood the danger that he presented, but he didn't give a goddamn because he wanted to see that shit in action. Because that's how obsessed he became with him. You know, he wanted to see him do the shit that happened in Halloween Kills, or in Halloween Kills, you know what I'm saying? And so I was just like, well, and then you got this male podcaster that comes up there and he was antagonizing him and was like, Michael, do you feel the mask? You know, what made you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Do you want to? I was like, shut the fuck up. It was his voice. It was his tone and everything that was just irking me so bad, y'all. I was just like, he got to go. He has to go. I do not like what he's doing, right? And then you pulling up the mask. He's not even looking at it. His back is to you and you talk about something. Do you feel it? Do you feel it? Then you go over there and you over there bothering Laurie. You want to go over there to Laurie. And then when the woman that was with him was like, you know, she'll probably come to and want to do an interview with some money. And he said, journalists don't ever pay their subjects, okay? And I was like, oh, okay, cool. But if you want to talk to Laurie, that's the only thing that's probably going to move her. And it did. It did. And what irritated me about that was when they sat down in her home and we saw how much of a recluse Laurie has become. Laurie, literally, if you saw Final Destination Bloodlines and how the grandmother was in Final Destination Bloodline, she had her house just for a fortress, you know, booby trapped out and everything so that she can try to stay alive. The same thing was going on with Laurie, but this was in 2018, right? And so she was living her life to the point where this whole situation with Michael Myers consumed her, okay? It consumed her so bad. She could not move forward from it. She was stuck in that time, you know, because Michael Myers was still alive. Even though he was in a psychiatric ward or whatever, hospital, jail, all that stuff, he was still alive. And so with the fact that he's still alive, regardless of if he's locked up and they got so many securities and all this stuff, whatever, in her mind, it's like, I'm never going to be safe with him still alive, okay? And so therefore, let me make my home this impenetrable fortress, okay? Let me make it so that I'm always prepared just in case something happened. I know how to shoot. I know this. My home is booby trapped and all of this stuff. Let me get my daughter prepared as well. In this iteration, she has a daughter now, okay, instead of the son. Now, in the beginning, in the original, they said that she had a daughter, okay, because the girl was Michael Myers' niece that was doing the telepathic shit. And then in Halloween 20 years later, she had a son, no daughter. Now in this one, she has a daughter, and her name is Karen. And she was acting very much Karen-like in some things, okay? And so you got that going on, and they go over there, and when that man said, maybe you should just, you're living in fear because you up here thinking that this man is gonna come back for you, and maybe y'all are still alive because of each other. You know what I'm saying? Because his goal is to get you, and your goal is to get him, and that's why y'all still living for each other technically. Okay, and I said on the one hand, kind of makes sense. But on the other hand, when he said, why don't y'all just sit down and have a conversation with each other? Bitch, for what? And then gonna say some talking about how you got your daughter taken away from you and all of this stuff. And I was like, whoa. Now you just came into my home. I ain't asked you to come into my home, and you trying to tell me about myself. Get the fuck out. Gave her $3,000 and she gave it to her granddaughter, okay? Her granddaughter was about to have, I think her name is Allison, about to have this like honors ceremony because she got into the honor society or whatever at school. Okay, cool. It is about to be Halloween night. She is estranged from her family, basically. The granddaughter wants to have her around. She asked her mom, did you talk to her? Tell her what was going on? Of course, the mother lied and said that she did. And then the mom grandmama Laurie wound up popping up at Allison's school, gave her $3,000 for, her accomplishments. She said, girl, take that, go see the world, do what you got to do. Don't try to get into school right away. Go live your life and all this stuff. And so you got that going on, right? Mind you, that was the money that she took from the podcasters, okay? And so I like that. But the part that really irked me is the fact that those podcasters really thought that they were going to get this man to speak and was going to be able to just come into this town and leave it alone, right? What? That ain't it. That is not it. Wait a minute. Oh, that ain't it either. I'm sorry, you guys. Give me 1 second. But yeah, what was I saying? They was about to move Michael anyway to another half maximum facility. And so this is where shit started getting tricky, right? After, Laurie meets up with her granddaughter. Then she goes back to her home. We see that Michael is in the bus and all that stuff, and they're getting ready to go. Him, Dr. Sartain, and all of these other inmates, right? And there is this one particular, patient, I should say, because you could tell that all of them there had some issues. And it was this kind of stubby-like guy. You could say he gave the penguin-esque type of physique, like the penguin from the Batman comic books and stuff, and he had a little umbrella and everything. And you could tell that mentally he wasn't all the way there, right? Okay, cool. So they get on the bus get into a car crash. You get this family, this father and son duo who was just driving back from wherever they was driving from, and they see that the bus had fell into the ditch and all that stuff. The dad gets out to go see what was going on. He winds up getting attacked, getting killed. The son winds up getting attacked and killed too. And I say the son, I mean the son couldn't been no more than 12 years old. I said, damn, Michael, you don't give a fuck? Hell no. So when they get the police and all that stuff out there, they take the doctor who was injured as well. His arm and shit was injured, took him to the doctor and all that stuff. He's trying to tell them all about who Michael Myers is and all that stuff and woo. Mind you, they know who it is, okay? But they did not realize that he was coming back to this town, okay? So with Laurie, this is how we find out that this is a whole new iteration and Michael and her are not related. When Allison and her friend, who was the babysitter later on in the movie, and her boyfriend, they were walking to school and they was talking about, how she know that her mama lied to her about talking to her grandmother and all of this stuff and woo. And it was like, yeah, Ain't your mama, ain't your grandmama related to Michael or whatever? And it was like, no, that ain't it. They not related at all. And I said, oh. So what's the point of Michael coming after her then? Why is she the target? And as you see, as the movie slowly gets to the point, you realize that Laurie really wasn't the target in this. She wasn't the target, okay? All of this was a setup by Dr. Sartain. Everything that wound up happening in these three movies, or the first two especially, that resulted in the third one, was a setup by Dr. Sartain. Remember I said in the original, Dr. Loomis, he knew the danger that Michael Myers was and what he possessed, and that he needed to be infinitely locked away. If they were not going to kill him, because he did want him to be put to death at one point, and he tries to kill him himself, okay? When he got loose, they tried to kill him, you know? But Dr. Sartain, on this other foot, he didn't want that. He set this whole shit up for them to get into that car accident at this right place so that he can go into Haddonfield. He released him to the wild so that he can see what was going on. You know what I'm saying? He put it in his mind that, bitch, go after Laurie and all these other people, okay? What we come to find out in this reiteration, Laurie was not really his target. Laurie was not really his target. But see, in Laurie's mind, she thought that she was, because she survived him. She survived him from the original, right? And so she just got so locked in with fear and thinking that this man will forever be coming after her. That's why she started to live her life the way that she did, right? And come to find out, even though she was just trying to take precaution, she was taking unnecessary precautions that didn't really need to happen. But it was a good thing that it did, because you got an obsessive psychotic nutcase who is the damn psychiatrist himself, who set this shit up to cause all these people to get killed up in this goddamn city. You know, I was just like, that is so fucked up. That is so fucked up. And it's so crazy because, I mean, on the first watch, when I seen it in the movies, I don't know why I didn't catch that. I don't know if I was just tired or whatever, but I didn't catch that until like the second watch. And I was like, damn, because, you know, you show how, I guess you could put up there, like, with the whole situation with Laurie and how she, you know, handled her life, because she thought she was really being sought after, and she really wasn't. So it affected things with her daughter. It affected that relationship. She never got her child back. Child Protective Services had to come and get her children, her daughter, because, you know, she was bringing her up to also fear this man and to also be prepared. And even though she didn't like it, the daughter, it actually came into handy. It came in handy, some of the stuff that she was teaching her and everything. Y'all don't worry about this. This is vapor rub on my nose, okay? Sinuses. For a little glissy. So yeah, so you got that going on, right? And their relationship has never been like very motherly and daughterly and all that stuff. Now, the daughter, 9 out of 10, resents her. The daughter is married. The one thing that I did not like was the way that the daughter allowed her husband to talk to her mother when she popped up on dinner that they had for her granddaughter. Yeah, Laurie, all right, that's enough. We don't need to be talking about this. I just didn't really like that. And the daughter just let the husband just talk to him, talk to her like that. I ain't like the fact that you a grown-ass man and you was making penis jokes in front of your kid, your daughter. Oh, I got it on my penis. What? I was with the daughter. Damn, daddy, you ain't got to say all that, you know. Also, Allison had a little boyfriend. We're going to zoom past some things. Allison had a little boyfriend. And this was his first time meeting the family and all this stuff. And, you know, he saw a little confrontation with the family when Laurie popped up and realized how kind of dysfunctional they are, right? But let me tell you something was so off-putting about that boy. I don't know. He gives, and ain't nothing bad, but he gives, if he were, and I hope I'm not offended, if he were to transition, he wouldn't have to do much. No shade. No shade. He probably would look like. Let me move on. Because I don't want to listen. I'm just saying he's very feminine looking. He's very feminine looking, and he has a best friend Oscar or whatever, and he's like the goofball. Okay, and so there's this school dance that's coming up, Halloween dance. The daughter, Allison, and her boyfriend are going together as Bonnie and Clyde, right? Okay, cool. When they get to that dance, girl, I don't even think they was there for a good 20 minutes before he over there with somebody else and kissing on them. And then he drunk and he wind up taking her phone and throwing it into into the goddamn the drinks and shit. I said, what? Absolutely not. Girl, dump his ass, okay? And so that's how they wind up getting separated that night. So now, when Michael got away from the bus crash, they said it was two individuals that were not accounted for. The dumpy man stocky man that looked like the penguin that I told you about earlier, and Michael. Now, in Halloween Kills, we find this out. They put it on the news, and they showed the man, the little penguin and stocky man. They showed his whole picture. But when it came to showing Michael, they blurred out his face. Okay, they made it fuzzy. They made it seem as if the camera wasn't focused so we couldn't see his face, but we can clearly see the other man. Yeah, they forever wants to keep his identity, his facial identity, a secret for whatever reason. But that's why they always keep him in the mask, okay? Keep that in mind. And when you look at Halloween Kills, that's when I was like, you know what? The people of Haddonfield is just dumb. Y'all are so damn dumb. Okay? Stupid as fuck. But anyway, we'll get there in a second. So, you got that going on, right? Like I said, Michael get out. Michael wind up killing them podcasters. Okay? They went to stop at like the gas station. Old girl going to the bathroom to use the bathroom. The mechanic, when she come out, the mechanic is dead. The old boy came up in the bathroom. He wound up fucking his ass up, throwing teeth up in the bathroom stall where the girl was at, and wound up taking her out. I was okay with that because they was annoying me, and it was mostly him. Okay, he needed to be brought down a peg or 5. So there's that. Moving on. So when he get into Haddonfield, let's just go over some of the kills that wind up happening. Because basically, you look at these movies just to count the kills, okay? So he gets there, and it was this woman in the house. He wind up getting into her house and wind up stabbing her in the back. Literally, she looking out the window. She gets stabbed over the couch. I said, God damn it, okay? What else happened? That little boy Julian, when he was being babysat, and he was being babysat by Allison's friend, okay? And her boyfriend came over. He said it's somebody up in the house, the little boy. She came up there to look and see and all that stuff, playing with him or whatever, trying to calm him down, reassure him that everything was okay. She tried to close the closet door. Bitch, Michael Myers was up in that bitch, okay? He was up in there. And that was all that she wrote. Okay, so she wound up getting killed. He wound up getting killed. Not the little boy, but the boyfriend, right? And I was so glad. I was so glad. The little boy Julian. Oh my goodness. I said yes. Come the freak on. We may be in a suburban town, but bitch, I'm still black. That little boy said, I'm out of here, okay? He said, I'm not finna get killed today. He just ran. He was the best. The way he ran up out of there. And so you got that. Who else wound up getting killed? You also get who comes in. We get Lonnie from the original. And I believe Lonnie and Kyle Richards' character. And if you looked at the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, you know who Kyle Richards is. Kyle Richards played in the original Halloween. And she played Lindsay, one of the... Laurie was babysitting a couple of kids, right? Oh, okay. And Lindsay was one of them. Lonnie was one as well. She was cool with Tommy and all that stuff and all that. And then you got the nurse that was at the original facility that when he got loose in the first one, she was stuck in the car. He wound up taking her car and all that shit or whatever. Okay, fine. And if you also see that she was in the other reiteration of this in Halloween 2 H2O, okay, 20 years later, she wound up getting killed in the very beginning. So that was that for her. But sure. And then we see them pop up for real in Halloween Kills. That was the next one. But you got but you got the police officer, Officer Hawkins, okay? He takes in charge because he was actually there when Michael first got let loose in the city, right? Or I should say the town, okay? And we get more of his backstory in Halloween Kills when they do a flashback, and we see that in Halloween Kills, they go back 40 years, and Dr. Hawkins, Detective Hawkins, okay, or Police Officer Hawkins, him and his partner, they were going after Michael. They wound up in his home. He was trying to shoot him, okay? But he winds up shooting his partner in the neck, bitch, okay? And I mean, goddamn, all that blood, he just died, okay? So he felt so guilty about that whole thing. He was trying to kill a murderer, and he wound up killing his partner by accident, friendly fire. And so they had the opportunity to actually kill Michael right then and there, but they just beat his ass up. And he, as he told Laurie, I felt like this is somebody's child, so I couldn't do that. I said, he didn't give a fuck about nobody else's kids. He didn't give a fuck about nobody else's kids. Okay? It's another police officer that was original police officer in the original movie. He was like, dude, 40 years ago took my daughter and didn't do nothing. Y'all didn't do shit about it. He didn't give a fuck about it. Okay? And I was like, Hawkins. Then they made it so that Hawkins and Laurie had a thing for each other. Bitch, you know, okay. But he was up there doing his thing and all that shit or whatever. He going around. Allison was being walked home by Oscar from the little party and all that stuff, right? And so Oscar tried to make a move on her. She said, boy, you're weird. Leave me the fuck alone. They wind up separating. Mind you, Oscar is drunk. That's Allison's boyfriend, best friend, right? You couldn't even wait a whole day before you tried to get with her, okay? They weren't even really officially broken up, you know what I'm saying? But they had a little trouble because she caught him kissing somebody else, right? And he was drunk. So everybody drunk, except for her. So Oscar stumbles into a yard. He thinking that it's the neighbor that's out there trying to tell him to get up out of there, but no, actually it was Michael Myers. And he come running after him. Well, he come walking after him. Dude tried to run and wound up getting himself impaled on a fence. Bitch, put him through the neck. I said, oh my gosh. In Halloween Kills, when his mother finally came up to that hospital and was able to find her son in the midst of all of the chaos that was going on, I felt so bad for her to see his body just laying there on that table. Oh my God. But anyway, that wound up happening, right? Oh wow, somebody else got killed. Either way, they knew that at this point Michael is loose, and so therefore Laurie is like, get these kids to my house. You know, she was getting her daughter. She came over there with the police to Karen and her husband's house, right? Okay, trying to get them to get over there to her house because in her mind, her house is the safest because she got that shit decked out and booby trapped out and all that stuff. She got the weapons and everything that she need, right? Okay, cool. And so now they're trying to find Allison. Allison's phone don't work, remember, because her boyfriend, you know, after he got caught, threw her phone up in the punch bowl. Okay, cool. And so as she walking, she sees some shit going down or whatever. She running because she wind up seeing Oscar, you know, hanging up on that fence. Then she wind up seeing Michael Myers. So she running and somehow she comes to the cops and, you know, they took her to Laurie's house. But at this point, Laurie and her daughter and her husband is already at her home. They're trying to find out where Allison is at. Somebody comes out there and pulls up, and it's the police. Okay, Ray take his ass outside trying to see who the fuck it was. And if they got Allison, baby, he looked up into that police car and both them police officers was in there and they was dead. Okay? Mind you, these was the one that came upon Michael because when Hawkins was out there looking for Allison, right? He found her. Dr. Sartain wound up going with him. And so they're in the car, okay? And you can hear the way that Dr. Sartain is talking about Michael with such admiration. Okay, this is a killer with such admiration. It's like, damn, what the fuck? And so they find Allison, get her in the car. They wind up hitting Michael. He winds up putting him in the car because Hawkins was about to shoot his ass. This motherfucker took out a scalpel that was in it was like a knife within his pen or whatever, and wound up stabbing Hawkins in the neck. I said, oh my God. And then he put Michael up in the car and had his mask on his face. Oh, so this is how it feels. And basically was using Allison as bait too. Okay? And so eventually, Michael woke up, got up out that car, and Sartain went over there, and he wound up getting fucked up a little bit to the point that he done fell on the floor. And he was like, I just want you to speak and tell me one thing, Michael. Bitch, Michael stumped him in the face. Crushed it. And I was okay with it because he had to go. Because, bitch, this was your fault. This was your fucking fault. And you did all of this on purpose. And it just goes to show that for people's own desires and their own, feelings and their own gratification, they will do any and everything. They don't care about who people hurt. So it's like, who was the real monster? We know that Michael is a monster, but you're also a monster as well. To allow him to come out and all of this just because you want to see him in action because you now actually admire him. That's just what it was, okay? You had no, you didn't care that he was doing all of this stuff and killing people or whatever. I was just like, this is crazy. All right. Meanwhile, they get Allison to the house. Ray dead because, Michael then knew where Laurie house was at. And so that's when he pulled up in that police car and he found those police officers in there, and then he wound up killing Ray. And so Karen is upset. Bitch, Laurie got this island in the middle of her kitchen. She had that bitch retractable, okay? And mechanically retracts, okay? So had them go down in the basement underneath that. And Allison wound up joining her mama down there or whatever. And it was a face-off between Michael and Laurie. They going at it. Do. Bitch, when he grabbed her and choked her out through the door, that shit was something. But then when she blew his fingers off, that was something too. Okay? They were beating each other ass. It was like Mr. and Mrs. Smith times 1,000. They were beating each other asses, okay? And then at one point, we thought Laurie was out the paint. And Karen was making it seem like, I love this scene, when she was trying to make it seem like she was in distress. And, Mom, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And she opened up the to get Michael to come over there to where they was at. And then she was like, gotcha, and popped his ass. I said, okay, Miss Karen. See, you was paying attention to what your mama was telling you, okay? How you feel now, because it comes in handy. She literally was protecting you, okay? Even though she was doing the much, she was a little paranoid, but it eventually came into handy, you know what I'm saying? But eventually he fell down the steps, and then they wound up trapping him down there. And he couldn't get out. They set that bitch on fire. But they got out. Laurie got stabbed up a little bit in her stomach or whatever. So they wound up finding some people on the road and they drove them to the hospital. That was the end of Halloween 2018, right? Then we go into Halloween Kills that came out in 2021, which is literally the complete continuation, okay? It's not the next day. It's the same goddamn day, same year. They are going to the hospital. Laurie up in that hospital, you know what I'm saying? And she winds up going into surgery for her stomach and everything because, yeah, it was fucked up. So while she's in surgery, mind you, I forgot to say, if you ever watched Greenleaf, Greenleaf. Y'all remember the dude, Aunt Vi, in Hollywood? Hollywood is the one that plays the sheriff. I said, come on, black sheriff. And I said, what was the point of giving him this power? And ain't one nobody gonna listen to his ass. The old cop from the original wasn't listening to him. Tommy wasn't listening to him. Tommy literally took over the goddamn town, okay? And got more people killed. You know, I said, what the fuck is going on? What's really happening here? You know, it was really frustrating. But, I'm the sheriff here. I'm the one in charge. Are you really? Couldn't tell, you know, but sure. And so you got that going on. Laurie is in surgery. So you got one police officer talking to Karen about what happened that night. And Karen is so misguided because she don't get what's going on. But Allison is talking to a different police officer because Karen was talking to the sheriff. Allison was talking to a different police officer because she was in the car and she heard what Dr. Sartain was saying and she saw what he did and was saying, you got Karen who don't know that this is not because of your mom. But she was blaming her mom. But she's also in grief because her husband is dead. Okay? And she was like, you know, we went to my mama's house. She basically put us in his path for all of this shit to happen to us. I said, girl, calm the fuck down. She didn't do that. Okay? She didn't cause this. Meanwhile, you got Allison telling the other cop, Michael was not coming for nobody. He wasn't coming for my mom. He wasn't coming for my grandmama. All of this was set up by Dr. Sartain. He let all of this shit happen because he wanted to see Michael Myers out there in the field. And so he basically put him there to make him come after my mom, grandmama and all that shit. I said, bitch, that's so fucked up. Then you get, you know, Tommy Doyle, Lonnie, the nurse, the old nurse, the original nurse, stay in the club with in a bar with Lindsay, you know, commiserating about what happened 40 years ago because they all lived through it, right? You got this black couple, doctor and nurse, I think. Well, that's how they was dressed up as, you know, and I believe one of them was a nurse and one of them was a doctor or a lawyer. And so they was at the bar too. And at first I thought that they were Julian's parents, but no, they were neighbors. They lived across the street. And so they up in there, Tommy reminiscing, and Tommy just so deep into it, right? Lonnie, he was the one that was getting picked on by the kids in the original when he had the pumpkin and they broke his pumpkin and all that shit before he went home and he met up with Laurie and all that stuff or whatever. They do a flashback. Now let me tell you something. I feel like them kids that was messing with him in this movie, them bitches was being bullies to him because they was facially challenged. I said, y'all said y'all not gonna bully me because I don't look too high. I'm gonna bully y'all first before y'all could bully me. That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like. Because I was like, they look old as shit to be out here doing this stuff. Are we sure that these are young kids? But, you know, yeah, because Lonnie wound up actually coming face to face to Michael Myers, but he walked past him. This was when he was a kid. Okay. And so you got all these people at the thing. Then you got the firefighters, first responders. They're over there at Laurie's house trying to take the fire out. Okay. They go downstairs in that basement. Bitch, Michael is still alive. Michael is still the fuck alive. And Michael wound up taking out all of their asses. Okay. I think it was at least 40 of them. Bitch, either way, he took out all of them. He took out all of them. Burnt and all. I said, what the fuck? Is this man subhuman? Because y'all done shot his hand off. He done got burnt up. And we ain't never hear him say, oh my God, this hurts. Nothing. He just kept on going. He'll lay there for a minute and get the fuck back up and keep going. Like, what the hell? You know? And so you get that. And so now it's being alerted that, okay, Michael is on the loose. Everybody's getting alerts on their phones. They're getting alerts on the news. And so now Tommy is putting it into action. We got to come together. Everybody, I need people that able-bodied men. If you're scared, don't come. If you're not, let's go. Boo, 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 boo. And I said, who the fuck put you in charge? Tommy just all of a sudden just wanted to be in charge. Okay? Lonnie get a phone call from his son because he winds up walking and he comes across Hawkins laying in the road, bleeding out. Okay? Because remember, Dr. Sartain pinked him in the neck. Okay, cool. They get him to the hospital. And he wound up being in the same room with Laurie. What? Okay. Okay. Cool. You know? And then, girl, what else wound up happening? They, in the midst of all of this, before he wound up killing this nice couple. This black woman and white man, Sandra and her man. I was so upset at that. He ain't killed the lady, okay? They up in there just talking they shit, playing with the little drum in the inside of the house. And this how they knew somebody was in that house, because the drum had went out the door. And when they was trying to make the drum fly, instead of it picking up and then flying over, bitch, somebody tossed that bitch into the chair. They was like, what the fuck? So the husband go over there looking, and he was like, I trapped his ass up in the bathroom. Bitch, Michael bust through that door, grabbed him, choked him out, and incapacitated him for a second. Went over there to the kitchen, and the light that's over the stove, over the counter, it was one of those bulbs, those long bulbs, okay? Bitch, he took that out and then broke it in half and old girl neck. And I said, oh my God, not the sister. Oh my God. Why? Why would they do that? And see, that wasn't even the worst part about it. Because when it first happened, you thought she was gone. Because the way that it went up, it went in. Juggler and all. Okay? I was like, oh my God, she's dead. Then we see that, no, she laying on that. She's sitting on the floor, popped up like she's just really sitting there. Like this. Because he pulled it out. But you can see where it went in. And she is bleeding. But she's not bleeding a lot, though. But she can't say anything. Because he basically fucked her jugular and her vocal cords up and everything, right? She over there, damn near like paralyzed. No, she was paralyzed at this point. And the best bet for her was to just sit there and not say the fuck nothing. Wow, she watched her husband get stabbed in the back multiple times over the goddamn kitchen counter. Michael used that man like a fucking pincushion. I said, what the fuck? I said, come on, overkill, Michael. you made your point. She can't do anything. He can't do anything. They're already older. So, like, what are you doing? Okay? Then I'm so glad, and I was shocked at this point that he didn't go back and finish the job with Chandra. Mind you, Shonda, her eyes was blinking. She was breathing. You can clearly tell that. But he just said, fuck it, bitch. You probably die off in a minute. But he left. The next home he goes to, well, actually, no. He goes to the bar, or the people, they leave when they go and trying to get everybody together. Lindsay, the nurse, the black couple, they in a car together, and they come across these kids who were playing at this couple who is at Michael Myers' old house. They come knocking on their door, acting like one of the kids had ate something, a razor blade, and, needed some help, and they was just pranking them, right? And so they trying to make them scared and spooked, and was like, do you know who house this was? This was, Michael Myers' old house and all this stuff. Well, girl, don't nobody give a fuck about that, okay? These are kids. They don't know nothing about this shit, right? They just want to have fun. It's Halloween, and it's fun tricks. Trick or treat. There it is, okay? So their names are Big John and Little John. They're a gay couple, okay? Now, I know when this came out, there was some controversy about the fact that either they had this gay couple and they were played by non-gay actors. I mean, I can understand that, but it didn't really bother me because they wasn't even being shown like, their characters really wasn't developing. Like, it wasn't really important. And I really feel like at one point they probably just put them in there to just show representation, because you did have black people, you had white people, and now you have a gay couple up in there, and they got killed. They eventually got killed. And they didn't have no chemistry towards each other. It wasn't sexualized or anything like that. They was just at home on Halloween watching scary movies and eating fruit and cheese and crackers off the charcuterie board. That's just it. And listening to music. And their names was Big John and Little John. Then I seen something where somebody was trying to make it seem like it was fucked up that they killed off the gay couple or whatever. And, that was discrimination and all that shit. And I remember when this happened, because I was like, no, that was not, bitch. Michael Myers do not give a fuck about sexual orientation. He don't give a fuck about color, and he don't give a fuck about gender, and he damn sure don't give a fuck if you a kid or not. Because listen, he killed that little boy. He was gonna kill them kids at the. He was killing teenagers. He was gonna kill little toddlers, and he didn't give a fuck. So I was like, oh my God, y'all want to just be extra woke about everything, and everything is just so sensitive and so offensive and all this stuff. It wasn't even that deep. Everybody could get it in Michael wasn't even having that capacity, okay? He saw somebody that walks and talk and who possibly can run, bitch, he gonna take you out. He didn't give a fuck what color you was. You could be fucking purple. He was gonna take you out, okay? So that's just what it was, you know? And so they living up in his house. He winds up coming back and he first take out Big John. Bitch, when he took out Big John, oh, Lord have mercy. I felt so goddamn. That shit made me cringe so bad, baby. So big, because it's one thing to stab me underneath my arm or in my back on my side. That's one, and it capacitate me that way. But it's another for you to grab me by my head and then to push my eyes in until they pop the fuck out. What? And then the way that they killed Lil John and we didn't even get to see him, like he goes up there and he saw him. He was like, Michael Myers. And then next thing you know, we see the outside of the house and we hear Lil John scream. Yeah, not that one. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. The fact that they knew that they was up in Michael Myers' house, and I don't give a fuck if he was put away, I would not be up in that house. And I was surprised that they did not tear the house down. I'm pretty sure they remodeled it. Of course they did. But I would have tore that shit down. Or at least had that shit blocked out. I could not live in a house where listen, a serial killer is still out. You know what I'm saying? No. Even if they were to die, it just would feel like the presence will still be there. It's creepy. And so, they wind up dying. Then Tommy and them, like I said, Lindsay, that black couple, and the nurse, they wind up seeing them kids up in the park, telling them take y'all asses home. They was like, we playing hide and go seek and peekaboo with this man. They got a mask on trying to scare us. One of their friends left. They never came back. They was waiting on him because Michael had already killed him. See what I'm saying? He didn't discriminate. These are kids, okay? And Lindsay saw him and she was like, run. You guys run. I said, now, Cal. Cal was giving her best, bitch. I said, I couldn't even see little Lindsay. I saw little Lindsay, but I ain't see little Lindsay. I saw little Lindsay, but I was hearing Kyle Richards from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Fake crime. That's what I was hearing, okay? It was so fucking funny. But she told them, get your asses home, bitch. What the fuck? Girl, Michael came over there trying to fuck their asses up. He threw that boy head up at their windshield, okay? The nurse popped that bitch. I was like, he get on top of the car. She tried to shoot him. They shooting out the windows, okay? They trying to get out. Girl, when she get Michael, the nurse, she gonna say, this is for for Dr. Loomis. She tried to pop that gun. Girl, the bullets wouldn't even come out. I said, take the safety off, bitch. Girl, he wound up killing her in the car. Okay, then the husband of the black couple, he wound up getting him because I think he tried to choke him out, but dude wound up getting stabbed in the eye. I said, all these eye things. Y'all know I got eye problems, okay? This one is lower, all right? You look at it, and sometimes this is low. So listen, I be sensitive about my eyes, bitch, okay? That be cringy, And then his wife had the other gun, right? She come walking up and she popping. Bitch, and none of them bullets is hitting, okay? I said, oh my goodness. I feel like, I know we have this thing with gun shit, you know what I'm saying? But maybe we all should take a lesson. Because you just never know when you may need one. I'm not against guns. I'm against them illegally being obtained. And by people that are not mentally well. You know what I'm saying? That type of shit. That's what I'm against, So, yeah, listen, she come walking, and I say this was one of the stupidest deaths. It was funny because I had to, every time I seen it, I was sitting, the first time that I saw it, I said, what the fuck just happened? And when I was able to see it when I was at home, I had to rewind it a few times to be like, wait a minute, bitch. Hold on. Because she walking up, pop, 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 missing every bullet. She get closer to the door with the big ass gun, right? Michael, kicks the door open. It winds up making her hand, it hits her hands, make her turn the gun toward her, and she popped herself. What? That shit was so fucking funny to me, bitch. And so now you got Lonnie, his son. That was a slip. That really was a slip because I was thinking about something else. So don't take offense. Lonnie, his son, and Allison, that's what I was thinking of. They wind up going to look for Michael, okay? And at this point, Laurie thought that they were already dead. Then she finds out that he's not. Then you got Tommy coming to the hospital, riling up the folks and saying, Evil dies tonight. We got to take him out and all this stuff. They're in the hospital. Yes, Evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight. I was like, oh, okay. And so then at this point, we see the little stubby guy from the mental institute. He come walking in there. And everybody is just looking at him like, oh my God. Because he was on the TV. His mugshot was on the TV. Or his picture was on the TV, right? But he's harmless. We don't know what he was in that institute for. We do know that he was delayed, okay? He's not all the way there. And at this point, he's just trying to get help. That's just all that it is. They're looking at him. They allow him to get so far before somebody say, there goes Michael. This is where I knew I really clocked out of this movie because I said, you know what? It was decent for the most part. It had its flaws here and there with the story. But then y'all, this was the dumbest part of the movie for me. And it was 2. This was the dumbest part. After all of these years, even when Michael was young, he was a tall gentleman. You really thought that Michael Myers was going to come into that hospital all of a sudden without his mask on and without his uniform on and just be lolly-dolly up in there asking for help? And he was just going to let y'all get his ass like that? What? That's him. Get him. And I mean the whole hospital, doctors included, started going after this man. It took Karen to say, that's not him. That's not him. Because Laurie was going after him too. But Laurie was like, nope, that's not him. That's not him. So at one point, they had this man cornered in a room. Karen was trying to talk to him and was like, I know you scared and all this shit. But then the crowd just found him. He wound up breaking the window and taking himself out, jumping. Because they were coming after him. And I blame Tommy. Okay? I was just like, what the fuck? He was just too fucking much. He was too fucking much. And then when he came down there, the other cops gonna say, it's not him. I mean, well, he always wear a mask. No, it's not him. I said, Tommy, be fucking for real. Be fucking for real. If that was him, do you really think that he would have took his own self out? No. Okay? So now you gotta live with that. But you ain't gotta live with that too long because you ain't gonna be living too long. Bitch, at this point, Laurie trying to get out. She trying to get to Michael. Can't get to him. Karen trying to get to her daughter. They go to his old house. They see Lil John, Big John gone. Somehow they find the house or whatever. You know, they go up in there. Michael wound up killing Lonnie. That bitch was stuffed in the goddamn attic. Killed his son. The way that he killed the son after he fucked him up, hung him over that goddamn banister, basically broke his back. He couldn't move. Had him through the banister. The spikes through the banister, the spokes through the banister, and then just twisted his neck. Oh, God. Right in front of his girlfriend. That's crazy. That's crazy. The kills was nice. I ain't even gonna hold you. The kills was kind of nice. You know what I'm saying? But the storyline, the plots, a little wonky. Okay, a little wonky. Karen come through. She wound up stabbing him in the back with a pitchfork. Okay, cool. They wind up kicking his ass outside. They thinking, okay, we got his ass. Now you got the townspeople. They got any and every fucking thing in their hand. A bitch had a fucking iron. And I'm talking about an iron that you iron out your clothes with. Okay? You got irons, all that shit. What you gonna do? All right, you finna hit him. You finna, press his clothes out. Girl, everybody was just getting whatever. And they was getting turns, whooping this man's ass. They took his mask off and all that shit. Bitch, they thought he was out for the count. Hell no. He winds up getting up, putting that mask on, and killing everybody. And then Laurie was upstairs looking out the window. He wound up coming up behind her and taking her ass out. I just said, what the fuck? What the fuck? And that is, and then the movie ends with Laurie in the hospital, and she calls her daughter's phone. She doesn't pick up. She can't pick up because she's dead. Michael picks up, and she hears him breathing, and she said, "Bitch, I'm coming for your ass." And I was like, oh, mind you, Laurie literally came out of surgery. They had to open up her whole stomach. And she's walking really well for somebody that got staples and shit all up in her stomach. I don't give a fuck what type of medication you on. Okay? You're walking really well. Meanwhile, we get to Halloween Kills, which is the next year later, that the release date. But it's taking place, I think, 2 or 3 years after all of this shit went down. And what bothered me so much, because this is why I'm not even finna get too much into Halloween Kills, or I should say Halloween Ends, because it was terrible in my opinion. It was terrible because they literally diverted right off the path of what was going on. My thing of it is, why give us Halloween 2018, then give us Halloween Kills, those the same night? It's literally, this what happened at this time, this is a continuation. You give us Halloween Ends the very next year. Mind you, it took a couple of years to give us Halloween Kills, which is the continuation from Halloween 1 that whole night. You give us Halloween Ends literally the year later after Halloween Kills come out. It's a time jump 2 or 3 years into the future, after all of this shit went down. Laurie is public enemy number 1 in Haddonfield. The people don't fuck with her. The people blame her for everything that went down a few years ago. Okay? They blame her for everything. Mind you, it's not her fault. It's not her fault. And also, Michael Myers, they have not seen his ass. They don't know where he at. And they can't really blame the people that is really need to blame because they're all dead. Tommy is dead. He got killed in that last scene from Halloween Kills. Dr. Sartain is dead. He got killed in the beginning of Halloween Ends, or at the end of, Halloween Ends, right? Or Kills, I should say. Everybody's dead. So the only one that's still here is Allison and her grandmother. Allison is living with her grandmama. She working in a nursing station at the hospital. She trying to go up for promotions. She's not getting promotion because the less qualified person is getting a promotion because she's sleeping with the doctor. Okay? We get a whole new storyline with a whole new character, Corey, who they started off, he was cool at first. He wound up babysitting this little boy, and the little boy died. The little boy died because he was playing a prank and playing hide and seek with Corey, and Corey busted open the door, and it wound up knocking him over the edge of the banister in their home, which was like multiple feet, and he fell over and died, right? And he also had like a knife or something in his hand or something like that when he came over, and when his parents saw him, the mama instantly thought that he did it when it was actually an accident. You know what I'm saying? And so he became the town piranha, all right? People was talking shit about him, basically outcasting him, calling him a baby killer, all this shit. It's just really sad. I get that. He became a loner. He was getting bullied by these group of kids, and the kids that they had bullying him, usually it's the band geeks that are the ones getting bullied. The band geeks in this one were the ones being the bullies. Okay? They wind up beating his ass so bad, leaving him on the road. He fell into a ditch. Come to find out, that's where Michael Myers is staying at, under the sewage and all that shit. Mind you, this movie, let me see how long Halloween Ends was. Halloween ends hour and 51 minutes. It took almost an hour into the movie before we saw Michael. What? Within that time, because Corey is such a loner, Allison is on her lonesome tip too. She's still dealing with the after fact that she lost her parents. Okay, now she got to stay with her grandmama. They're working on their relationship. Their relationship gets thwarted because her and Corey link up, and we see the change start happening in Corey, where he becomes possessive of Allison. They haven't even been dating that long, and he gets his claws hooked into her. Once he start interacting with Michael, he basically is becoming Michael. So instead of Michael coming out and doing some killing, he's going out and killing all of his enemies, right? He fucked around and killed his mama at one point because she was just nagging. I kind of understood that, but you know. He killed the goddamn band kids in the lot. And I think he eventually killed his stepdaddy or some shit like that. Mind you, he was the only one that really had his back, for real, for real. That was something else. If that was what happened, I can't truly remember. Let me see. Did he kill his stepdaddy? Or was it an accident? I got it, my notes right here. He also killed the doctor that passed over Allison, went to his house, killed him, killed the girl. Like, I mean, just was killing everybody. Yeah, he accidentally killed his stepdaddy. He also killed the DJ at a local radio station, the black guy. Whole time Laurie is seeing what's going on. Like, she don't see that he's doing this shit, but she knows something is going on, and she's trying to get Allison away from him, and she's so hooked, and because they're trauma bonding, and all of the shit that she went through, this is why she got so linked up with him so quick and so tough. Boy want him to leave with her, or want her to leave with him, and Laurie is like, hell the fuck no. Next thing you know, Allison can't stand Laurie, okay? But eventually, Michael fuck around and kill Corey, okay? Michael fuck around and kill Corey, and the way they set it up, Allison wound up seeing Laurie there at the house where Corey got killed at, and thinking that because she been telling him or telling her not to be with this man because I could see him changing, and she even told Corey that too. Laurie told him, I know what the fuck is going on, okay? You turned into that man, right? I seen this shit before. Because she was there, and Allison saw her there at the body, she thinking that she did it. I was like, no, girl, that ain't her. She didn't do it, okay? Listen to your goddamn grandmama. Y'all gonna get enough for not listening to this lady. That's why y'all got killed. You know, people's getting killed and all that shit. Michael is back, okay? Now he want to pop up towards the end of the movie and try to have a duel with goddamn Laurie, you know, and they wind up finally fucking killing Michael, slice and dice his ass up, right? Hawkins came back to help and all that shit, and y'all know, like, the way the town came together in Halloween Kills to at the end of the last fight scene to try to fuck him up. The town was coming together to go to the stockyard where they wound up taking him and putting him in a wood chipper and just basically grinding his body to mush. And that's how Michael Myers dies. What? The only plus about that movie was we found out that Shonda from Halloween Kills, that was the older couple that with the drone and the husband that got killed on the goddamn counter, she was still alive. Okay, she was in a wheelchair, but she was still alive. Couldn't talk shit, but she was still alive. Okay, I was just like, what? I hated it. When I watch Halloween and then Halloween Kills, I would watch them two back to back, right? I would never go back and watch Halloween Ends. The only reason why I watched it was for this. and still really wasn't paying no attention because I hated it. I understand trying to move up the timeline a little bit, but why did we need to put in this whole another person coming through and, trying to act like he's Michael and taking out his enemy? I didn't come to watch that. I wanted to see Michael Myers go against Laurie again, and this time to end things, because that's why it was called Halloween Ends. I wasn't here to see no fucking Corey. But yeah, if you like Halloween Ends, let me know, okay? But again, Halloween, if you wanted to watch and you didn't watch the movies yet, and you want to get the full, extent of it, Halloween 2018 is on Hulu. It's also on Tubi for right now. Halloween Kills, for some reason, is not on any streaming. It's on YouTube, but you'll have to rent it. Probably on Prime Video too, but you'll have to rent it. But Halloween Ends is on Peacock, I believe. And could possibly be on Tubi, but it's also on Peacock. So, yeah, there's something to look at. Like I said, if you want me to do Halloween H2O and Halloween Resurrection, we can do that for shits and giggles, because Halloween Resurrection really was for shits and giggles, But yeah, you guys tell me how you feel. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And I will see you guys tomorrow, actually. For those who watch my other stuff, I'll be back tomorrow. We got the Braxtons tomorrow. I'm going to see how that goes. And, of course, I'm going to review it. So there's that. And then, because Love After Lockup is done for right now, also, you may or may not get... No, you'll get it on Saturday. Beyond the Gates. I haven't even watched the episode, so I'll watch that at work tomorrow. But, yeah, you guys enjoy yourself, and thank you for hanging in there with me, and I will see you guys later. Peace.